Chosen one, heaven just whispered your name. In the next 15 minutes, you'll discover why your breakthrough feels so close yet never arrives, and the one pivot that changes everything. This isn't coincidence. You've been praying for clarity, and this is your answer. I know you're exhausted. The almost moments, the near misses, the 2 a.m. conversations with God asking, how much longer? But what if I told you the wait wasn't punishment? It was preparation. And what if the breakthrough you've been digging for is 15 feet to your left, not 3 feet deeper? Right now, type 999 in the comments. Let that be your sacred agreement that you're ready to see what heaven has been building. Then subscribe, because this revelation isn't finished. Your next instruction is coming. Stay with me. Your nevertheless is about to birth your suddenly. The proximity paradox. Why feeling close can be a trap. It's 2:47 a.m. You're standing in your kitchen in the dark. Everyone else is asleep, and you're having that conversation with God again. The one where you whisper, how much longer? I've been so patient. Why does it feel like I'm right there, but never actually arriving? I know you're there because I've been there. Maybe for you it's not the kitchen. Maybe it's your car in the driveway, sitting there for an extra 10 minutes just to collect yourself. Or the bathroom where you lock the door just to let the tears fall. I see you. And what you're experiencing has a name, the proximity paradox. Here's what that means. It's when you feel closer to your breakthrough than ever before. So close you can taste it, but somehow it still doesn't come. And that almost there feeling can actually become the very thing keeping you stuck. The Rachel story. 3 months ago at Starbucks, the barista making my coffee said something that stopped me cold. 57 applications. That's how many jobs I applied for before I got this one. Rachel was mid-50s, kind eyes. She leaned against the counter. I was a marketing director for 15 years. Corner office, good salary. Then downsizing happened. Everyone said with my experience, I'd land something in weeks. She shook her head. The first 10 applications, I was confident. By 30, I was desperate. But 40 through 56, those were torture. Because I kept getting so close. Second interviews, you're our top candidate. Then nothing. The almost moments were harder than flat rejections. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. Proverbs 13:12. Here's where Rachel taught me something profound. I made 2 huge mistakes. First, I thought every near miss meant progress. It didn't. Near misses aren't progress. They're a different test. Second, I kept using the same strategy 57 times expecting different results. Same resume, same types of companies, same approach. Job 58? She got it, but not by persisting with the same plan, by pivoting. She stopped applying to corporate marketing roles and started applying where people could see her work. Coffee shops, bookstores. If I couldn't get hired on paper, maybe I could get hired on presence. 6 months later, the owner of a competing coffee chain watched her for 2 weeks. How she handled difficult customers. How she trained staff. He asked her to manage his 3 locations. Now, I make more than I did as director, work better hours, and actually love what I do. Then she said something I'll never forget. I wasted 18 months digging in the same spot. Corporate jobs. When I shifted 15 feet to the left, hospitality. Everything opened in 6 months. The 3 feet from Gold Myth. Now, you've heard the story. The gold miner who quit 3 feet from striking it rich. Every motivational speaker uses it, and it's partially true, but dangerously incomplete. That story, comes from R.U. Darby, 1800s gold rush. Here's what they don't tell you. Darby didn't just randomly quit. He hit granite, solid rock his equipment couldn't break through. He sold his claim to a junk man. But here's the key. The junk man didn't succeed by digging in the same spot. He consulted a mining engineer who told him the gold vein had shifted. They drilled 15 feet to the left and struck gold. Do you see it? The gold wasn't 3 feet deeper. It was 15 feet over. When we preach, just keep digging, we trap people in the wrong spot. Sometimes God isn't saying, dig deeper. He's saying, dig different. Let me make this real. You've been applying for management positions for 2 years. Near misses every time. Maybe God's not saying, wait for management. Maybe He's saying, start your consulting business. You're 48 and single on every Christian dating site. Maybe God's not saying, wait for the perfect match. Maybe He's saying, get whole first, then I'll bring them. You've been praying for a raise for 3 years. Same job, same boss. Maybe God's not withholding. Maybe that side hustle you keep dismissing. That's your vein of gold. Remember Rachel? When she shifted 15 feet to the left from corporate to hospitality, everything opened up. The breakthrough wasn't where she was digging. The pressure versus peace test. So how do you know? How do you know if you should keep digging deeper or shift 15 feet left? Here's the test that changed my life. Ask yourself, is this pursuit creating more peace or more pressure? Not discomfort. Discomfort is normal in faith. I mean pressure. The kind that makes you snap at your spouse. The kind that makes you resent people who have what you don't. The kind that makes you question if God even hears you anymore. Here's the truth. God's will, even when it's hard, carries a thread of peace. The enemy's distractions, even when they feel right, carry chaos. Look at the Bible. Jonah ran from his calling. Pressure, storm, fish belly, and even when Nineveh revived, he was miserable. Paul pursued his calling, persecution, shipwrecks, prison, but he wrote, I have learned to be content in all circumstances. Ask yourself these 3 questions. 1. When you think about this thing you're waiting for, do you feel faith or anxiety? 2. Has pursuing this made you more loving or less loving to the people around you? 3. Are you praying God change my circumstances or God change me? Let me get real with you. If you're 42 and you've been believing for a record deal for 10 years and your marriage is falling apart, your kids barely know you, and you're drowning in debt from studio time, maybe God's been trying to tell you music is a hobby, not a career. And that's not failure, that's wisdom. If you're 58 and you've been waiting for your adult kids to come to their senses and live the life you planned for them, and it's eating you alive with bitterness, maybe God's saying, release them, trust me with them, focus on your peace. Sometimes, what we call faith is actually stubbornness. The Kairos shift. Let me show you how this works in real life. My friend David pastored a church for 30 years, never grew past 150 people. He prayed, fasted, attended every church growth conference. For 3 decades, he believed, any day now, breakthrough will come. At 58, depressed and burnt out, he told God, I quit. I'm not cut out for this. He resigned, took a job as a hospital chaplain, figured his ministry days were over. 2 years later, at 60, the hospital promoted him to head of spiritual care for their entire network, 7 hospitals. He now ministers to more people in 1 week than he did in 30 years of pastoring. And he goes home at 5 p.m. No politics, no board meetings, no budget stress. David's Kairos moment wasn't at 25 when he started pastoring. It was at 60, when he surrendered his version and accepted God's. Here's what I've learned. Kairos is often on the other side of surrender, not giving up. Surrender, giving God permission to rewrite your definition of breakthrough. Your turn. So before we move to part 2, I need you to answer this honestly. What if your breakthrough isn't where you think it is? What if you've been digging in the right mine, but the wrong spot? What if the almost there feeling has been a distraction from the shift 15 feet left instruction? Take a breath. I'm not saying give up. I'm saying maybe it's time to ask God, am I digging deeper? Or do I need to dig different? Because here's what I'm about to show you next. What if everything you think has been wasted? Every closed door, every delayed answer, every pressure-filled season. What if none of it was wasted? What if it was all building something you can't see yet? Stay with me, because the story's not over, and neither is yours. The breakthrough veterans. What delay actually produces? Let's talk about fried chicken. No, seriously. Because the man behind KFC understood something about breakthrough that most of us completely miss. Harlan Sanders was 62 years old when he franchised KFC. Not when he started cooking. He'd been cooking for decades. 62 is when he built the empire. But here's what they don't put in the motivational memes. Before 62, Sanders failed at everything. Failed as a streetcar conductor at 16. Failed as a soldier. Failed as a railroad fireman. Failed at law. Studied it. Never finished. Failed as an insurance salesman. At 40, he opened a service station with a small restaurant. It burned down. He rebuilt it. It burned down again. At 62, when the interstate bypassed his restaurant and bankrupted him, he had $105 from his first Social Security check. That's when he decided to sell his chicken recipe. He was rejected 1,009 times before someone said yes. So here's my question. What was God doing for 62 years? Building a man who could handle success without it destroying him. Building taste buds that could perfect a recipe. Building failure muscles that could withstand 1,000 rejections. Building a testimony that no one could attribute to luck. If you're 45 and feel like you've wasted 20 years, you haven't. You've been in prep school. If you're 58 and think I'm too old, tell that to Colonel Sanders. Your wasted years are your doctoral program. What delay actually produces? The 4 invisible builds. Let me show you what God is building in you while you wait. Build 1. Character capacity. I know a woman named Margaret. At 43, she prayed for a promotion to VP. She was qualified. Everyone knew it. The promotion went to someone less experienced. Instead of quitting, she asked God, "What do you want me to learn here?" Over 18 months, she practiced celebrating others' wins, managing her ego, serving without recognition. At 45, she got VP. 6 months later, her CEO resigned. The board promoted Margaret to CEO at 46, youngest in company history. She told me, if I'd gotten VP at 43, I would have seen it as my achievement. At 46, I knew it was God. That humility has kept me grounded ever since. Here's the principle. God delays promotion until character can sustain it. Position magnifies who you are. If you're insecure, promotion makes you a tyrant. If you're prideful, unbearable. If you're unforgiving, bitter. The waiting room is the proving ground. Build 2. Network alignment. Remember David, the pastor turned hospital chaplain? During his 30 years of wilderness, every funeral he officiated, every hospital visit, every counseling session, he was building relationships. When the hospital needed a head of spiritual care, 3 doctors recommended David. Doctors he'd ministered to during crises years earlier. He didn't network, he served, but God was networking for him. That difficult co-worker you're praying for patience with? They might be the CEO's cousin. That neighbor you help with yard work? They might know the hiring manager. Stop seeing delay as wasted time. You're being planted in soil that will feed your harvest. Build. 3. Skill refinement under pressure. Moses spent 40 years in Egypt learning palace protocol, skills he'd need to lead a nation. Then 40 years in the desert as a shepherd, learning to lead stubborn, wandering people who need constant guidance. God was training Moses in the exact skill set he'd need, just in a context Moses didn't recognize. Sarah, 52, worked retail for 8 years while praying for her real career. She hated it, felt overqualified, underpaid, invisible. But retail taught her customer psychology, conflict de-escalation, inventory management, team dynamics. At 52, she started a home organizing business. Within 18 months, grossing $180,000 a year. Why? Because organizing homes requires every skill retail taught her. Every wasted year was tuition-free business school. Nothing is wasted in God's economy. Build 4. Spiritual authority through endurance. Mary was 61 when I met her. Her son had been addicted to heroin for 15 years. She'd prayed every single day, visited him in jail, rehab, homeless shelters. Year 16, her son got sober. 3 other mothers reached out. Their sons were also addicts. Mary started a prayer group. It grew to 200 mothers. At 63, she started Mothers Who Won't Quit, now operating in 12 states. Her son works there as a counselor. She told me, if my son had gotten clean in year 1, I'd have relief, but I wouldn't have a ministry. God let me walk through fire so I could lead others through it with authority. There are certain kinds of authority you can't learn in seminary. You earn them in wilderness. People don't follow titles. They follow scars that healed. The breakthrough blueprint, what to do. While you wait, all right, enough theory. You're thinking, great, but what do I do? I'm still in the wait. Let me give you the 3 S's strategy. S number 1, serve where you're planted. Stop trying to escape your current season. Dominate it. If you're in a job you hate, become the best employee there. Not for them, for your character. Ruth didn't complain in the barley fields waiting for Boaz. She outworked everyone. That's what caught his attention. Practical steps. Volunteer in your church's least glamorous ministry. Help a neighbor without expecting return. Excel at your in-between job like it's your dream role. S number 2, study your future. Now don't wait until you get the opportunity to prepare. Prepare now so you're ready when opportunity comes. Joseph didn't learn administration in Pharaoh's palace. He learned it managing Potiphar's house and the prison. When palace came, he was ready. Practical steps. Want to own a business? Take free online courses now. Want to remarry? Go to therapy and heal now. Want a promotion? Learn the skills of the role above you now. S number 3, steward. What you have. God doesn't give new until you steward current. If you can't manage 40,000 with integrity, why would he trust you with 400,000? Parable of talents. The ones who multiplied got more. The one who buried his lost even that. Practical steps. Be faithful in small things. Return extra change. Keep your word. Show up on time. Manage current resources well. Budget the little. Save the pennies. Honor commitments. The nevertheless declaration. I want to close with the most powerful word in the waiting season. It's not therefore, or because, or if. It's nevertheless. Luke 5:5. Peter had fished all night and caught nothing. Jesus told him to try again. Peter's response? Master, we toiled all night and took nothing. Nevertheless, at your word, I will let down the nets. Nevertheless. Logic says no. Nevertheless, I'll obey. Experience says it won't work. Nevertheless, I'll try again. I'm tired, and it's been too long. Nevertheless, I trust you. Watch how this works. Colonel Sanders. I'm 62, broke, rejected 1,009 times. Nevertheless, I'll knock on door 1,010. David. I've pastored 30 years with little growth. Nevertheless, I'll serve wherever you place me. Margaret. I got passed over again. Nevertheless, I'll celebrate the person who got my promotion. Mary. My son has been addicted for 15 years. Nevertheless, I'll pray day 5,476. Now here's my question for you. What's your nevertheless? I'm 47 and single. Nevertheless, I've been applying for 2 years. Nevertheless, my adult kids are making terrible choices. Nevertheless, the medical report was bad. Nevertheless, I don't see how this works out. Nevertheless, fill in your blank. Because nevertheless is the bridge between your reality and God's promise. The final pivot. If you've been waiting for breakthrough, maybe today's message is your Kairos moment. Not the breakthrough itself, but the moment you finally understand what the wait has been building. Here's what I want you to do right now. First, ask God this question out loud. Am I digging deeper, or do I need to dig different? Then listen. Actually pause and listen. He'll tell you. Second, decide which of the 4 invisible builds you need to focus on. Character capacity, network alignment, skill refinement, or spiritual authority. Journal about it tonight. Third, type your nevertheless in the comments. Say it out loud. Let it be a stake in the ground. And if this message shifted something in you, share it with that one friend who's about to quit. Because I believe they need to hear this. Your breakthrough may not look like you thought. It may not arrive when you expect it. But if you're willing to pivot when God says pivot, and persist. When God says persist, you will see it. Your nevertheless is about to birth your suddenly. I'll see you in the next one. Don't give up. And don't be afraid to shift 15 feet to the left. Before you go, type 999 in the comments to seal this word over your life. Then subscribe to this channel. Your next divine instruction is coming, and you don't want to miss it. Heaven isn't done speaking to you yet. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Your breakthrough is closer than you think.